Top trending story on X today is Trump's comments on Liz Cheyney. And clicking on that link takes you over here. Donald Trump is calling for the execution of Liz Cheyney. If that isn't completely disqualifying, I don't know what is. Oh, I must definitely have done it then. Casey Hunt from CNN here. Watch Donald Trump suggesting Liz Cheyney should be fired upon, an escalation of his violent rhetoric. And Liz Cheney's directly responded, saying this is how dictators destroy free nations. It appears to have been started by this brain-dead political activist, Aaron Rupar, who has now got a 15 million views on his post. Trump on Liz Cheyney. Let's put her with a rifle standing there with 9 barrels shooting at her. Let's see how she feels about it. You know, when the guns are trained on her face. Sounds pretty dodgy, doesn't it? Yeah, sounds a bit dodgy. But it's just another example of what I've been telling you guys about for years now, which is shameless quote mining. Quote mining used to be a thing back when, people read newspapers. Now it's clip mining, and it's just as shameless and it's just as dishonest. All I will say is this: if you do think that Trump, obviously I'm going to show you the full clip when it hasn't been shamelessly edited and dishonestly manipulated. I'm going to show you that. But let's just be clear on one thing. If you do think Donald Trump called for one of his political opponents to be executed after he was president for 4 years and didn't execute anybody, including the ginger comedian who posed with his severed head, suffice it to say, you probably think Jeffrey Epstein wasn't murdered by deep state operatives and merely wanked himself to death in his cell. Yeah, of course he did. Right then, obviously this is a non-story because we are living in the post-truth era and everything political activists say is a brazen lie. Here's the clip, deceptively edited by the shameless political activist.
And I don't blame him for sticking with his daughter, but his daughter is a very dumb individual, very dumb. She's a radical war hawk. Let's put her with a rifle standing there with 9 barrels shooting at her, okay? Let's see how she feels about it. When the guns are trained on her face.
Okay, first of all, let's just get this out the way straight off the bat. I've missed that. I miss the infantile insults that many people claim are unpresidential, but normal blokes who mock their friends constantly and mock other people constantly. You've watched my channel. Normal people do it all the time. I don't think it's the end of the world. I think it's quite endearing because it normalises the block. Politicians are exactly the same as us. They just wear suits, ostensibly run countries. I know we know where the real power lies. Ain't in the people whose faces you get to see. The UK proves that beyond any doubt. Nobody knew who Philip Rutnam was until he sued Priti Patel, but it's pretty obvious that he had more power than Boris Johnson did when he was letting in all of the world's most deranged killers on purpose and moving them into council houses and buying them all breakfast. The point is they're just normal people. And normal working class people don't care. It's like when they tried to turn a mountain into a molehill because he called somewhere a shithole. Do you remember that one? The fake lying media and Silicon Valley and all of the politicians and the world leaders and the civil servants. Oh my God, he called somewhere a shithole. That was a non-story. Do you know anybody, anywhere, who hasn't referred to somewhere as a shithole? Because I don't. Not one person. If you're in the pub with your mates, like a normal person, and you say, where are you going on holiday? And your tightest, everyone's got a tight mate, who goes, oh, I got a special deal on a trip to, and he's off somewhere like Ethiopia on his holidays because he thinks you can get a pint for 40 pence. The response from everybody there, including the barman and any passing bystanders, is, what you going to that shithole for? It is normal speech. Some cabal decided years ago that you have to use oily, slippery, manipulative language all the time when you're on the world speak, but it wasn't plumbers and bricklayers and window cleaners, because normal people don't get offended by such things. And also, people like Diane Abbott go outside wearing 2 left shoes in public places, proving that they can't even dress themselves properly. I'm sorry, but you can't tell me that I do not have a God-given right, in fact, nay, a God-given duty, to rip the piss out of a big, fat sack of rats who can't even dress herself properly. What, do you want me to be polite about it and say something like, oh yes, this was merely some type of shoe-related deficiency? No. I'll just say, hey, fatty, you can't get dressed properly. But I'm ranting. Point I'm getting at is, Nothing wrong with that statement if you watch the whole thing in its entirety. So I'll show you, in fact, I'll just show you 30 seconds either side of what he actually said. And you tell me if he was calling for a firing squad.
And Cheyney was he said, I really want to thank you. He said, now I'm so glad that I actually endorsed you. It's amazing, but that you would do this. And I didn't speak to him about it. But then, go a couple of years forward or go now. And I don't blame him for sticking with his daughter, but his daughter is a very dumb individual, very dumb. She's a radical war hawk. Let's put her with a rifle standing there with 9 barrels shooting at her, okay? Let's see how she feels about it. When the guns are trained on her face. They're all war hawks when they're sitting in Washington in a nice building saying, oh, gee, let's send 10,000 troops right into the mouth of the enemy. But she's a stupid person. And I used to I'd have meetings with a lot of people, and she always wanted to go to war with people.
And there you go. It didn't even take 30 seconds either side, did it? It was like 10. That's how brazen these people lie. And as Viva Fry says there, it's just a blatant deception. Every word that comes out of these people's mouths is just a lie. To quote Jean-Luc Picard, a lie by omission is still a lie. The Americans have a great term for people like Cheyney. Scumbags. These people who shovel tens of thousands of people's children into the meat grinder to make themselves wealthy. And that is exactly what they did. KBR, when I was in Afghanistan and Iraq, KBR provided almost all of the services for the American military out there. Everything. They did janitorial, construction, food services, the lot. They made probably hundreds of billions of dollars for Halliburton, which is Cheyney's company. Essentially, Rumsfeld, Cheyney and Bush were profiting directly from all of the wars that we went out on. And now, crazy world that we live in, the likes of Dick Cheyney are lecturing the public and endorsing Kamala Harris when they personally profited to the tune of billions by bombing babies and seeing young American men and women killed in action. Every one of them should be in prison, definitely, especially Bush and Cheyney. There is no good argument you can make to me that they shouldn't be in jail. They personally were motivated by profit. They killed 1 million people in the Middle East, ruined half the planet, and just to make themselves richer. It's one of the most immoral things ever. And it turned out WMDs. There was more WMDs under my granny's fridge than there was in Iraq, and they knew it. And apparently, in 2024, they're the good guys, and the one president who didn't start any new wars, he's the villain. Make it make sense. And this is the cherry on top of the dog shit sundae. Just lies and lies and lies. And they're trying to turn the villains into heroes. It boggles the mind. Anyway, that's just what I think. Maybe I've gone mental. Maybe bombing babies and shoveling young kids into the meat grinder, maybe that's a good thing. Maybe Dick Cheyney, Donald Rumsfeld and George Bush were really, really nice people for lying to cause chaos in the Middle East. Maybe they were. I don't think so, though. Do you? As far as I'm concerned, if you're a hippie, if you're lefty, if you're right-wing, if you're centrist, there's no good argument for voting for Kamala Harris. If you want to side with Dick Cheyney and Donald Rumsfeld and call yourself a liberal while standing against like Tulsi Gabbard and RFK Jr., you want to call yourself a liberal, well then I reserve the right to call you something else. And it starts with F and it ends in ucking idiot. Okay, that's all I've got for the day. Thanks for tuning in. I'll be doing a live stream tomorrow at 7 p.m. UK. Or is it 6? The clocks have gone back. I have no idea. I guess I'll figure it out tomorrow. But I'll see you then. Thanks for tuning in. See you in a bit. Toodle pip. Cheers.